Next, what we have is count. Now, what is count? Count function in Excel counts the number of cells containing numerical values within the given range. It is a statistical function and returns an integer value. The syntax of the count formula is a count of value 1, value 2, and so on. Where value 1, it is a required parameter, for example, to count a range of cell that contains a date before April 1, 2021. The formula used is count of cell range, which is less than date 2021-41, right? The date is entered by using the date function. And why using date function? So that there is no issue with the format of the dates. Okay, next what we have is, so like this we can have multiple values, like value n means we can have multiple such values, 2, 3, 4, and go on and so on. So value n is nothing but it is an optional parameter. Okay, it can range up to 255 values. Okay, like we can have 255 such values. The value can be a cell reference or a range of cells. Okay, it is a collection of the worksheet cells containing a variety of data, out of which only the cells containing numbers are counted. Okay, let's see. So you see here we have a number of cells here coming in, and we want to count how many numerical values are there in this cell, right? We want to count how many numerical values are in this cell. So what do we do? Is equal to count. Okay, now you can either put individual cells, like you select this cell, comma, and this cell. Okay, you can do that. But what we can also do is select the range of cells here. Okay, so I select the range of cells here and enter. And 7. Let's see which are the cells which were counted here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, on this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, right? So we have 7 cells which are numerical in nature. So we counted the number of values which has numerical data. Next, here if we count, how many do we have? So let's see, is equal to count of this range. We have 4. Why? So if you see, we have only one numerical data which is visible to us. Rest all are dates and strings, right? Now, how can it be 4? See, this 3 can't be the data, right? Because it's a purely string. So what the case can be is the dates are being counted in the numerical value. Okay. So now if you see how many dates do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So we have 5 date values. Now which the difference between the dates, if you see, one has hyphen and one is slash, forward slash. Now which one is counted? Okay, so you see if I count this, this, and this, we have 3 here and this is 1, 4. So that means this is the 4 which is counted, right? Because this forward slash has only 2 values. So these are the cells which are actually dates but are counted as numbers, because dates can be converted to numbers. Okay, how? So if I click here, I go to number and I click on number. So you see it is counted, it is changed to a numerical value. So dates can be converted to a number, and hence dates are counted in a when I do a count, is counted. Date is counted in a numerical data. Okay. Moving ahead, here what we did is for count A2 to A10. Okay. So here what we did is for 2, we can very easily see that one of them is 525. Okay. Who is the other one? Okay, so we see one is 525. Who is the other one? Now what we can see is there is something called as hyphen here, which is actually nothing but a 0. So an hyphen can be made to 0 using some custom numerical format. Okay, or a 0 basically can be shown as hyphen in a custom numerical format. Okay, so basically this is 0. 0 is a numerical format. That's why we are counting this cell A7 and A5 as count of numerical values. Okay, now moving ahead. CountA. So count was nothing but where we counted the number of cells which are the numerical data. Now, CountIF function is an inbuilt statistical Excel function that counts the number of non-blank cells. Okay, so it can be anything, but it should not be blank. Okay, in a cell range or the cell reference. For example, cells A1 and A3 contains value. Okay, but right now, okay, but if a cell A2 is empty, then the formula of count A of A1, A2, A3 returns 2. Okay, so for example, here if you see, here if I count A of A2, A3, A4, I'll get 3. Same for B2, B3, B4. But for C2, C3, C4, I will only get 1 because only one cell is non-empty. Okay. The function accepts the following arguments: value 1, which represents the values that are to be connected; value 2, this also represents the values that are to be counted. Okay, so you can have multiple such arguments. Okay, if you see here for count A, we have value 1, which is mandatory. Then you can have multiple values here, optional. So everything is square bracket, and you have 3 dots here, which means you can put more such similar arguments. So a maximum of 255 arguments can be entered in MS Excel 2007 and a subsequent version. The earlier versions of Excel can handle 30 arguments only. So previous 2007, so it could only handle 30 arguments, but now it can handle 255 arguments. Okay, so let's see how this works. Okay, so now if I do a count of this, five, why? Because we have 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5 cells which are not blank, right? Next, how do we see which are the non-blank cells? So what I can do is I can just do a count A. Okay, I can select this range, comma, then I select this range. So 7, which means from this range I got 5 values, and from this range I got these 2 values, right? So which is 7. Okay, now moving ahead to count A, one more. So now I want to see, we got the students and we have their numbers, right? Maths, English, and computer. I want to see how many students were present in each of the class. Okay, so what I do a count A. Okay, and I select the cells only for that row. Same way, I can just drag it because I don't have any referencing here, so I can just drag it. So here I see I have 2, 1 and 2, and here I have 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 number of students who took part in computer exam, 2 who took in English exam, and 3 who took in maths exam. Okay, this is count A. Okay, so the number of students here, if you see, we have 3, but here we have 5. Okay, so here we have 5. Now, how did that happen? Okay. There, my sound was on mute. I'll just repeat what I just now said for CountIF. Okay, so CountIF is a function in Excel that counts the number of cells within a range based on predefined criteria. It is used to count the cells that include dates, numbers, or text, for example. Okay, so CountIF of A1 to A10 of Trump will count the number of cells within the range A1 to A10. Okay, that contain the text Trump. Okay, now the syntax for the CountIF is it will accept the following required arguments. It will see the range and it will see the criteria. Okay, so range represents the range of values on which the criteria will be applied. Okay, and the criteria means it represents the condition that is applied to the range of the values. The output of the CountIF formula is a positive number which can be 0 or non-zero. Okay, so if the value is found, it will be more than 0, and if the value is not found, it can be 0, but it can be negative. Okay, so what we were doing is we were checking how to do a CountIF. Okay, so let me show that to you quickly. Is equal to CountIF. Okay, the range is this. Okay, and the criteria is matching 33, right? So 33, put enter and 2, right? Because we have two cells which matches 33. Okay, for the next one, what we see is for greater than 50, all the values which are greater than 50. So what do I do for that? Is equal to CountIF again. The range is again this, and the criteria is greater than 50. Now, whenever we have to do some greater than or less than, we put that here itself inside the quotes. So greater than 50. Okay, 4, right? So which all is counted? Sorry, it's less than 50. All right, so less than 50. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we have 4 of them, which is less than 50, right? Next, what we have is where we find the value John. Now, till now, what we were doing is we were finding numerical values. So when we have to directly find or equate a value, you can directly write the value here. But when you are doing a greater than or less than any such operation, you need to put it in quotes. Also, when you are trying to find the text value, okay, you again need to put it in quotes. So CountIF, then we have the range, and the criteria is John. So I have 1 where I have John here. And so it's easy to not say for a count of negative numbers, what can we do? So for count of negative numbers means a number should be below 0, right? Then we can call this a negative number. So in the criteria, what I can do is I can just write is equal to CountIF. We have the range, and then we have the criteria. The criteria is less than 0. Okay, so we have 3 numbers which is less than 0, and hence that is a negative number. And now count of zeros is easy because what you want to do, you need to see how many equates to 0. And as you know, for equating a numerical value, just put the value here. CountIF, the range, and the criteria, right? So we get the value here. Okay, so like this we can get the CountIF. Okay, moving ahead to the next topic. Okay, so next topic is CountIFs. Now, how did we have SUMIF, SUMIFs? Same, we have CountA, CountIF, and CountIFs. Now, CountIFs is again an extended version. So, CountIFs Excel function counts the values of the supplied range based on one or multiple criteria conditions. Okay, so in CountIF we had one condition, in CountIFs we have multiple conditions. The supplied range can be single or multiple and adjacent or non-adjacent. Okay. Being a statistical function of Excel, the CountIF support the usage of comparison operators and wildcard characters. Okay. For example, given the following table, the CountIF's Excel function can count the total number of products, okay, with the name B for the East region. So the formula is CountIFs of if this region contains East and if this region and if this range contains B. Okay, we'll see this example live. The function accepts the following arguments, which is criteria range 1 and criteria, okay, and then you can have again one more criteria range 1 and criteria, okay. So same with SUMIF and SUMIFs. Criteria range 1 is where you put the range where you want to have the match, and criteria is what is the value you want to match. Okay, and you can have in CountIF's Excel function up to 127 range and criteria combination can be specified. In case of multiple range and criteria pairs, the CountIF counts only those cells that meet all the specified conditions. So every additional range should have the same number of